And here we go. Chapter 1148, guys. I'm so excited for this. I am so ready. We are starting off with yet another Yamato Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage. Volume 33. 33 volumes of this cover story is actually crazy. Again, it's just very much so showing our GOAT Yamato building their crew. We got Raizo in the background. We got Horse Girl, whom I can never remember her name. Again, I asked this question. How long do you guys think the cover story is going to be going for? We're 33 volumes in right now. How much longer do you think? Oh? Homie's hand just gets completely chopped off? What? It's not coming back? It's been a while, eh? Scopper Gabon? Ooh, and Scopper pulls up right here at the end like that. Oh my god. Hand gone. Attack straight to the chest. Scopper coming through with the classic anime attack where he is just already on the other side. And oh my god, dude, Scopper pulled up. Scopper pulled up. We have not seen them officially set fire to the library either. I want to note that. Like we got there, but dude, this is one of the best pull-ups we've seen in One Piece in a hot minute, dude. This is actually crazy, dude. Scopper Gabon is aura farming. Yep, yes he is, dude. Yes he is. Robin Cianflor, Craspedia is named after the Craspedia flower, which its name derives from the Greek word for fringed edge. Robin was pushed to her edge with Summers trash talking the knowledge of Ohara. Dude, facts. That's such a banger point. Do I think someone will die this arc? Dude, I have a feeling it's very, very possible, but I'm not sure who it would be. It could be Scopper Gabon, low-key. Like you know, now that he's jumped into this. Scopper Gabon might be able to die, or might end up dying, but I'm not sure. Oda doesn't like killing people, so I'm really not sure. We are getting towards the end game of this, so I think stuff is getting a lot more serious, so that potential gets higher every single chapter, but I'm not sure. Setting fire to the library is way more dangerous than a dude with a sword in his head can think for. I mean, that's absolute facts. They live on a tree. The sword brain can't think far enough ahead to see that they just want the atom tree to burn down. You're absolutely right. Not only do they want to destroy their culture, but they also want to destroy their home, quite literally. Ronya having her people's history and culture ahead of her own life is cool, but crazy priority list. Dude, it really is. And especially for a child to be that willing to sacrifice themselves for the sake of their culture is crazy. I guess, though, another thing you got to consider, though, even though they're quote-unquote children, they are 20 years old. So, like, they've spent enough time to be able to be, like, or, you know, to get to the point where they would want to, you know, protect this culture and all that. So let's just start the conversation off right here. What was the difference? What did Scopper Gabon do to actually hurt the Holy Knights? What is up with this? Is it a hockey-coded weapon? I mean, I feel like hockey's always going to be the end game, but it could also be something we don't know of. Most people are saying maybe the first Fist of Love or Love Hockey is maybe the answer. Dude, I could see that. I mean, Robin did all this out of love, and Sommer's big thing is like love-based attacks, so I could see love having to do with it. Might be Conquerors and Conquer and the Ryoyu combined with, who knows, maybe Gabon has like a higher level of hockey. I mean, I think it's fair to assume that Gabon has some pretty crazy hockey, being the left hand of the Pirate King. Like, he's gonna be lit. You already talked about the connections that Gabon and Summers have met at God Valley. No, I have not talked about that, but that's actually a really good point. I didn't really think about that. Like, Scopper Gabon having already dealt with the Holy Knights to some degree over on God Valley does give him an edge against these guys, so maybe that is why he already knows how to deal with them. And specifically, he very well could have ran into Summers himself. So that actually makes a lot of sense. I had not seen that theory. I've been ducking and diving and dodging all these theories all week so I could, like, read this and be fresh with you guys. But yeah, dude, let me know. Let's cook on this. What's my favorite backstory, manga included? If we're talking like in all of like history, it's still gonna be One Piece, dude. I mean, Sanji's goes absolutely insane. Robin's goes absolutely insane. I think the best one in history, as far as just like emotional depth, is Kuma's. Kuma's backstory is just unrivaled. So many things to talk about in that. So without thinking too heavily about it, Zach, I'm gonna say Kuma's is my favorite. Community was clowning Sommers, but I bet he's gonna lock in next chapter. Oh, for sure. I mean, you have to consider this, dude. So these Holy Knights haven't been injured in God knows how long. Like, literally, like, he even said, oh, that's a surprise right here, right? Like, huh, it's not coming back. And then you get the it's been a while, with Scopper Gabon. But like, these Holy Knights have not been hurt in God knows how long, if ever. So that being said, of course they're going to act as if they can't get hurt because they have this pride and this hubris specifically about them being like, nah, I'm pulling up, I'm immortal because I got Daddy Emu's powers, so we're chilling. So they're not used to coming against threats that can actually do some real damage. Scopper Gabon pulls up, they low-key had their guard down for all intents and purposes. So I do fully agree. I'm not about to hear any Sommers is a fraud stuff yet. I do think that he's probably going to lock in like crazy next chapter. Do I think his arm was actually cut off? I do. I mean, with him literally saying it's not coming back, and then the next scene shows that gone. Yeah, I actually definitely think that arm is gone. Kuzan might still be about a sword and working with Akainu still. I think the and working with Akainu part is the problem with that one, Flip. I think they have a mutual respect for each other. They always will. But I think their ideals are fundamentally different. So I do like the first half of that, where Kuzan very well may be like a secret member of Sword that we don't really know about. It might just be me coping, but I desperately want that. I'm still struggling to accept the fact that Kuzan's a bad guy, because I really don't want to. But again, that very well could just be copium. So I don't think, though, that he's working with Akainu. I will say that. I don't think that. They sort of work with the pentagram in demonic way. Salt is known for maintaining paranormal activity. Oh, that's an interesting concept there. Gabon might have put salt on the blades. All right, Zach. I like where your head is at for that. Do I support Bonnie joining the Straw Hats? Honestly, of anybody, I think she's probably one of the best options. I do think that she's a good option for that. You don't think Bonnie will join the crew, but I wouldn't mind having her along with the knowledge of Nika. I agree. Bonnie over Yamato? Well, Yamato just has other work to be doing. Like, I love Yamato, don't get me wrong, and I would have loved to have Yamato join the crew, but it makes way more sense for Yamato to build their own crew on Wano and protect Wano, because little baby boy Momo needs all the help he can get. Do you think Loki might join because people point out Loki and Zoro share a lot of parallels? Absolutely not, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I am pretty sick of the whole who's gonna be the next Straw Hat. I don't think we're gonna get any more official Straw Hats. I really don't. I think at this point, any new Straw Hat candidate is going to be a Grand Fleet candidate. I think we need to step it back. Like, they're not going to be standing on the ship with the Straw Hats for the rest of the story, but they will probably be fighting alongside the Straw Hats in one form or another. On a very simple, obvious level, Loki's just too damn big. We're going to have to get a whole new ship if Loki's even going to join the crew. Secondly, I think Loki has too much that he needs to do with Elbaf. I do think Loki is Elbaf's Grand Protector. So in the exact same way that Yamato can't go with the crew because Yamato has to stay back and protect Wano, I think Loki will have to stay back and protect Elbaf, because I think Skopper Gabon, if he does survive this incident, I still think that they might end up snagging Colin and taking him back to Marijwa, which means Skopper Gabon is going to leave Elbaf and go to Marijwa, which really just leaves Dory, Bragi, and Loki as the only strong enough members to do anything on Elbaf, because we have seen beyond a shadow of a doubt that Elbaf is like vehemently unprepared for this level of attack. They are just not built for it right now. Like the Giants, yes, they're generally powerful, but I mean, they were getting murked by just these like imaginary monsters. So what's going to happen when they're really fighting like the physical threat that is someone like Sommers, someone like Gunko, someone like Killingham? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Elbaf has enough firepower or like manpower on it to let someone like Loki leave after all of this stuff happens. New Straw Hat is going to be Gaimon. There it is, Ham. That one I fully agree on, bro. Sign me up. We need a treasure chest on the ship. What kind of pirate ship is it if it doesn't have a treasure chest on it, dude? Gaimon for the win. Hot take here. You think BB has been able to copy Law's devil fruit? Remember the evil smile when he saw Law's blood on the ground? Oh my god. That's just a scary take, to be honest with you. Becky, if you're right about that, if BB did manage to... Alright, so I guess our question is, and we don't have an answer to this, with BB's abilities to take these devil fruits one way or another, these powers, is he just copying the power, or is he actually like removing the devil fruit from that person? That would be crazy. If we find out that Law, obviously he survived because Beppo got him away, but if Law wakes up and no longer has his devil fruit abilities, that would be freaking insane, dude. BB has Law's hat, which we can reasonably say will have one of his hairs in it, which means he can create a Beaver card. Oh, crazy. Now that's a good connection right there. I like that a lot. Actually. So bare minimum, he can go find him. Next, Usopp buff, thinking observation hockey boost. It better be. He needs to just use observation hockey again. Like, my god, dude. Like, again, I'm not thinking Usopp's ever going to be, like, super strong. I don't need him to get super strong. I'm not pressed on that. But my brother in Christ, just use the abilities that have already been presented to us that you have, man. That's all I need. Maybe the regen is from their immortality from the Opi no Mi, and they get hurt from advanced. That's an interesting concept. So I see what you're saying. So you're like, Emu got the Opie Opie no Mi procedure, which I very much agree with that to some degree. I think that's very, very likely. And then Emu passed these powers down to the Holy Knights, and these Holy Knights are able to proxy use the powers of the Opie Opie no Mi, and that's giving them immortality. That's interesting, dude. What if Brook knows how to hurt the Holy Knights as well, since he seems to know them? I'm not sure that he does, on the simple fact of he didn't bring that up in the initial fight with Gunko when she started regenerating. I think he knows about them, but like it's as shallow as that. Would I rather the Straw Hats just get hockey or have them train to get it? Oh, I mean, so Had, this is where I have an issue that I can't figure out. Like it's a conundrum, because at this point, I feel like we're relatively late in the game. Yes, there's going to be a good amount more content, of course, for One Piece. We're not at the very end, but we're in the final saga, right? I thought Elbaf was going to be our moment to get a training arc, but they didn't give us that time at all because the Holy Knights pulled up immediately. I don't know where we would get enough time for the Straw Hats to like train and get a chance to get better. Through specifically training, because I feel like it's going to be kind of full steam ahead with just the way the story is moving. All the other players within this game are not stopping right now, so I think we're just kind of here. I do think the Straw Hats are going to get stronger through these fights, just like in this moment we saw Robin kicking some like we haven't seen in a good little while. So I think we're going to get a lot of like in moment power-ups and level ups, because they're going to get pushed to their limits and have to like unlock some hockey or unlock something. But as in terms of them training, I don't think we're going to have time for that. Yeah, I was talking a little about Kid this week, and I definitely got a little humbled in the comments. Some people brought some good points up. There's a couple things. So Oda apparently said, so this is all allegedly, I'm not confirming any of this because some content creator said it. Don't trust me, all right, guys? Don't trust me. I'm telling you that right now. But Oda apparently said that Kid was one of the only supernovas that he actually had plans for, right? Which means that potentially Kid maybe does have a future in One Piece, even with that devastating defeat that Shanks gave him. I know Oda just refuses to kill characters, so I genuinely don't think that that Kid is dead. But you know, the way the narrator was like the Kid Pirates were utterly defeated, it seems like a pretty definitive defeat. Like on the level of like you'd end up seeing Kid making flags in some cover story on some remote island, like the way they did for Bellamy. At the same time, Kid does seem very important. His Devil Fruit is one of the most, like, the highest potential power levels for a Devil Fruit in the verse. I think his potential is so crazy. He's just not quite living up to it. And also, I mean, he went against Shanks. Like of course he was going to get owned. Like, it's not even, it doesn't mean that he's weak inherently. It just means that he went against Himothy himself. And people say that he was still beat up from Big Mom, and then his own explosion blew up in his face. So there's a lot of reasons. I don't know. I really do not know. Moist Critical, woo! Jet says a new training arc with Gabon was gonna happen. You can't convince me otherwise. He's gonna teach everyone on the crew, including Chopper and Usopp and Nami, how to perma-damage the Gorosei and stuff. I think this is where Oda's version of Sage Jutsu is gonna come into play. So he's gonna act like the Sage of Six Path, blessing them with the powers that they need to actually do some real damage to the big boys. I love it. I think my theory that Ryoyu is its own class of emulsion hockey is going to get more validity soon. I think we're gonna learn soon, probably from Gabon himself, that hockey hasn't only changed names over time, but also changed form. I think that's super valid. Also noticing the random shot that feels confusing at first. And then, all right, here we go. You circled it. Let's see what... Oh, all right. So are you saying that Scopper Gabon was able to use hockey to actually increase his speed so he could move faster? That's Gabon coming over from one branch and zooming down, connecting one to Robin and everyone. And I'm noticing he runs with the done sound effect, almost like Kaido and Big Mom, like super heavy steps. Okay. I think Gabon is going to train Zoro and Luffy, or the most with the castle being the foreshadowing for it. I could see that. And then Twisted says, that was your first thought. The stage is set for him to teach Luffy how to perma them. You're not sure if he'll teach the whole crew, but I'm inclined to believe it requires a special kind of hockey, but maybe not. Be surprised if Summers actually dies, but he might just end up fleeing like a coward. I really, really agree with that idea. I think he'll end up fleeing for sure. Maybe I'm tripping, but weren't they just over by the Abyss mark? Still possible, but still possible that Gabon destroyed it. That is possible. I think there's something to the fact that Oda has made a point that the Holy Knights and Gorosei have a strange aura. That is very facts. Abyss mark is in the castle itself. There's also another Abyss mark on a branch, though, because the other Holy Knights did not come into the castle. They came from the branch. Feel like the Haki Gabon and others feel is a twisted form of Haki because of the Abyss magic or whatever, like the Haki and the evil magic power they can feel. To further elaborate, even on how a power system might change, its fundamental understanding and how to use it could be the most basic form of Haki we see modernly, whereas 2,000 years ago, it was maybe even called magic. Yep, love that. I see you on that. So, let me break some of this down because I do like this. In this community, we've been talking about this theory quite a bit in the fact that, I think that Gunko is going to manage to successfully snag Colin, which she already has, as we saw with her like yoinking him off like the ship that he was on with the Straw Hats when she attacked them. I still think that that's going to happen somehow, some way. Gunko's going to get Colin away. They're all going to flee like the cowards they are, much like they just said in this theory, and they're going to start heading to Marigeois. So then that is going to have Scopper Gabon hop on a ship with the Straw Hats to send them back to Marigeois somehow. And maybe within that journey of them going from Elbaf to Marigeois, which is going to take a long time, we might have to figure out a way for them to get there faster. We've talked about a couple of those things, but we'll get into that in a second. That would give us a prime moment for Gabon to actually do the training session that we would need to get into this. I just want to give another massive freaking shout out to Ronya, because like, oh my god, dude, one of the most emotional moments I've seen, and it came from like a child, granted like a 20-year-old child, but a child. Like her selflessness is amazing. Sommers making dragons out of thorns is super interesting to me. It's just crazy how like the level of control he has over this thorn fruit. And also, real quick question for you guys. Do y'all think / would it be fair to assume that the Holy Knights generally have awakened versions of their fruits or not? With Gunko's fruit, I'm not sure if it's presented something that could look like an awakening, even though we wouldn't necessarily know what that means. And on the same side, to this point, with Sommers here, with his like dragon thorn kind of thing, would that kind of demonstrate that maybe he is on an awakened level? Or is this just like kind of the simple basic things that you would be able to do with said fruit? I'm genuinely asking, I'm not sure. I think it's very realistic to expect at least some, if not most, of the Holy Knights to be awakened, because like, dude, we discovered Devil Fruit Awakenings in Dressrosa, more or less, with Dofi. So, being this much farther in the game, power level-wise, I think it makes sense. How is Imagination awakened? I mean, I think if anything, it is awakened with how well he can control that. Like, that one feels more like an awakened fruit than any of the other two. You feel like getting to the level of Imagination is an awakening? Exactly. Maybe the way his awakening would work would be if he didn't have to put you to sleep to pull out your inner demons, per se. I don't know, I'm kind of reaching at this point, but Holy Knights are the last line of defense. You feel like Emu can force awakenings. That's, alright, so Slimy, let me cook on that, because I like that idea a lot. Let's say that Emu can force awakenings, right? So you pull up, and as you're getting blessed with whatever power Emu tends to give you, you already have your devil fruit, right? And when he like blesses you with the powers, he gives you some kind of, let's call it an artificial boost. So it does give you an awakening, but it would probably be what could be considered a broken awakening or not a true awakening, because he's doing it by like demonic means, or basically like a shortcut. The long story short of what I'm trying to say is like there's no shortcuts to actually getting powerful. You really just have to work at it and grind on it. And someone like Emu being a bad guy and being able to bestow his powers onto other people, it's kind of creating like a shortcut, and in that would create an inherent weakness. So yes, on the surface all of their fruits might be awakened, but they wouldn't be like as powerful as if they awaken their fruit by like legitimate means. Do I think there's a traitor in the Gorosei? Yeah, I still like that. Alright, I'm not saying there's a traitor right now, but I think one of them will eventually maybe like betray the Gorosei. Not to say that they're a traitor yet, but they have the ability to be swayed. I'm not sure though. Emperor Haki or level of Haki to control is the weakness. We're gonna see. That very well might be it. But see, if that's the case, dude, like this would be the issue. I think I saw Brody Lohman talking about this. Love his content. If you don't follow him, he's a fantastic creator. He mentioned the fact of like, it'd be a little disappointing if advanced Conqueror's Haki is the only way to hurt all of the Holy Knights, all the Gorosei, and Emu, because that literally just means that Zoro and Luffy are the only ones who matter on the crew. Everybody else is totally useless. And when you like spread that out to the whole world, there's not a ton of players. We obviously have them, but there's not a large amount of players who have that ability to that degree. So I think that would kind of degrade the storytelling of this story. And I think love is a good counter to that, which means someone like Robin would be able to still hurt a Holy Knight. And low-key, anyone could, as long as you're fighting for the right reasons. Do I think us seeing Emu give powers to others means Luffy can do the same? So I don't think Luffy will be able to do the same in the way that Emu does it, but I think Luffy's laughter and his ability to affect the world around him will be able to, at the very minimum, influence people to work harder, strive harder, fight harder, all of that. In the same concept of like during wars, like there are war drums and people are playing war drums, and the reason they do that is to hype people up. Having that like rhythmic kind of thing gives people like just a little bit more and a little bit more reason to fight. So I think Luffy does inherently boost the power of those around him while fighting in the vicinity of him by hearing the drums of liberation. So it's like inspiring, but is he actually legitimately giving his power to other people? No. But I like that concept. I appreciate you bringing that up. So, like, if Luffy and Brook were to tandem their powers, maybe Brook needs to awaken first, but Luffy kind of grabs Brook and uses him like a soul gem in a way, and Brook gives a piece of his spirit to everyone, and that way they get a Gear 5 cloak. Okay, so kind of the way Naruto puts the Jin cloak on everybody in the War arc. All right, let me continue on that theory, but take it a different way, all right? What if Brook is the key to us really beating the Gorosei and separating... So Emu can obviously take the powers away from the Gorosei. But what if it's to be assumed that the Gorosei are being... Or, like, we have to make this assumption. What if the Gorosei are also being possessed by the actual demon in which they turn into whenever they have their, like, you know, full forms, right? Like the Gyuki for Saturn and so on and so forth, right? So based on a theory that whenever the Gorosei go into their demonic forms, their body is now being more inhabited by the demon itself, and it's like a two-soul kind of thing, right? What if, with Brook's awakening, he can knock the demonic soul out of the Gorosei, and that would be able to separate them, turn them back into quote-unquote regular humans, and obviously if at that point you've been being kept alive by Emu for hundreds of years, and you wither away just like Saturn did, but maybe he does that to the younger Gorosei, and since his lifespan hasn't actually run out yet inherently, and he's not being only suspended by Emu, he actually still survives, but no longer has this demonic presence in him, and then that is where the betrayal comes from, and that is how one of the the younger Gorosei ends up betraying the rest of them. What you guys think about that? I think that's a pretty interesting one right there. So if Shanks was there, he could do the same thing Gabon is. I would agree with that. I do think that Shanks will have the ability to hurt these Holy Knights inherently. Do I think that Dragon or the Grand Fleet will find Law? I like the concept of Dragon finding Law. I really, really like that concept. Also, I heard a theory somewhere that maybe Law washes up on Wano, and it would be fucking crazy if one of these Yamato's golden, surrogate pilgrim, whatever, the Yamato cover stories, what if Yamato finds Law and Beppo washed up on Wano again, and then they pick up Law, and it kind of continues on that side? That would be kind of interesting. Because, like, do we know really where Law was fighting Blackbeard in relation to where Wano was? Like, how far from Wano did Law make it before he ran into Blackbeard? AKA Gabon is going to teach the crew new hockey. I honestly, I really, really like that idea. One way or another, I do think Gabon is about to teach us something huge. But, like, are we sure it's, like, a thing to learn, or is it more something you yourself have to, like, achieve, or, like, a mindset or emotion kind of thing? Schleeps, I think you're actually more onto something, because hockey, at the end of the day, is power of will. It's not about training. It's about, like, confidence and faith in yourself and a steadfast mentality. So I actually agree that it would be much more of a mindset or an emotion kind of thing. And it could be something that you can unlock whenever, like, you snap, right? So, like, when a homie of yours gets wrecked right in front of you and you lose your mind, it could be like a crash out level power. And then eventually you could learn to tap into that mindset and control it a little better. I like that a lot. Thoughts on Morgan? Like, News Morgans? I think he's going to be the one to... So my theory with News Morgans right now is I still believe that Gunko's going to successfully steal Cullen, and start taking him back to Marijois. I think the Straw Hats are then going to have to find a way to get back there. We've talked about maybe Kuma being the one to be able to teleport them there. But News Morgans is going to be the one to spread the word to the entire Straw Hat Grand Fleet by saying, hey, poppin', it's time to pull up on Marijois. It's time for the big war. Everybody rally the troops. It's time to go. I think News Morgans is going to be the one who spreads the good word that it's time. The Toon Force fighting style can only take him so far. Oh no, well, I think the next big thing for Luffy is the fact that he has to find a way to sustain it, dude. He has to sustain it. The biggest weakness with Gear 5 right now is he can't do it for very long. Gonna have to focus somehow and understand his true power. Absolutely. I fully agree with that, man. I mean, he just needs some time. He really hasn't had Gear 5 for that long. Also, every time we see him use Gear 5, I think he uses it in a more interesting way than the last time. You know what I'm saying? So he is just getting better and better. You mean you see what he did with Gear 2 and how he accelerated his blood? Oh yeah, I mean, well, that's the cool thing about Luffy. He's incredibly good at finding creative ways to use these abilities that he keeps unlocking. So he's definitely going to become a demon with it. It's not going to be just simply Toon Force. Like, he's going to be wild with it. You think it's going to be a mix of forms? Oh, absolutely. Well, I think that's a really good point. At the end of the day, everything is a culmination of everything that he's done. And I think what you're saying is, like, with Gear 2, he was able to, like, increase speed. With Gear 3, he was able to increase actual physical damage output, like just getting bigger and bigger hits. With Gear 4, it kind of combined both of those things and then added heavier levels of hockey with it all. So that's those two forms plus hockey is Gear 4. And then Gear 5 is true freedom within all of that. And the next thing is, I mean, he's just slowly combining all of it. You agree with that? Over the times we've seen Gear 5, his usage does seem to become more advanced. See, like, way more crazy uses, maybe even, like, different forms from, like, his imagination weaponized. Oh, absolutely, dude. We could see Luffy literally turn into a dragon with Gear 5. Like, technically, that's possible. Luffy could turn into a crazy, goofy, toon-filled dragon and start flying around and doing Kaido-level attacks. I also think it wouldn't be too far out of the realm of possibility to see Luffy using attacks that we've seen from other people, but in his own Toon Force imaginative way. And I think that'd be really freaking cool, actually. Okay, so in the sense of, like, stealing people's attacks, how crazy would it be if to see Luffy do something like pull someone's shadow and, like, absorb them, but instead it's like their freedom will? Holy dude. Okay, let me think on that. So on the surface level, before the pulling their freedom and will out, he could easily just yoink someone's shadow. And that could have some interesting implications that we don't fully understand right now. Like, you know, if you no longer have a shadow, then you, like, I'm trying to flesh this out. Yeah, so if you lose your shadow, then you might lose your humanity, right? Because you're no longer of this earth, or you're no longer of this plane, or maybe, like not your humanity, but you lose your connection to reality because you're no longer, like having a shadow shows that the sun is able to shine on you, and it shows the negative space behind you. Luffy is a sun god, so if he takes your shadow away, maybe that inherently means that either you're always in the light of the sun at that point with no darkness around you, and maybe that could remove the, I don't know, I'm really, like, tinfoil hatting, like reaching with this, but I could see something there. And then that leading to, like, their freedom of will, I can see something there, but I'm not sure. So Luffy runs out of stamina, looks up, grabs Sun for energy. I can 100% see that, dude. Panda Man will be the one to take down Emu, the world's greatest spy on God, bro. That's the end of the One Piece, bro. Panda Man's the one guarding the One Piece. He's the final battle. I have a theory. So actually, I wanted to bring this up. I'm happy you just said that. I came up with this little theory this past week. I think I posted it in the Discord, but I don't think I've actually posted a video on it, so I need to. I have this theory. What if Emu has the very first devil fruit, and it's called the devil fruit? Or maybe it's the human fruit model devil. And now I'm going to be talking 3,000 years ago, not 1,000 years ago, right? Because we know that this whole, like, there's this building on Elbaf that's like 3,000 years old, so it's opened us up to the possibility that it matters going all the way back then. Maybe I'm wrong about the timeline, but hear me out on this. Emu was the one who manifested the very first devil fruit, because Emu was being oppressed by potentially a religious figure. This person, basically, you know, if you look at religion, the antithesis to God within religion is the devil. And maybe this religious figure, for some reason, was putting a level of oppression based on their religion on Emu/Emu's village culture people, whomever, that Emu got so distressed that he was able to manifest the very first devil fruit, because they say the devil fruits are manifested from the wills of humans. And what he willed the most was to be able to become a devil, to be strong enough to fight against this cult leader, religious oppressor, something like that, right? So he created the devil fruit to become a actual devil so he could be the thing that this man fears the most. The reason we call them devil fruits and not just weird powerful fruits is because the very first fruit was in fact quite literally a devil fruit. And that is what Emu, and in that capacity, Emu has the connection to other devils within hell or the underworld or whatever you want to call it, right? So him having the devil fruit is the reason he's able to bestow these demonic abilities on his followers, i.e. the Gorosei and the Holy Knights. I have a little bit more to that. I would have to find it in the Discord, but dude, like, I think there's potentially something to that. It's not fully fleshed out. I'm still working on that one, but I like it. What if Emu was the first devil because he was corrupted with power? Oh, exactly. Well, I think Emu created like so in that capacity. I think Emu did it to be able to free him and his village from the oppression of this religious person. But as always, ultimate power corrupts ultimately. So he eventually fell because A, he got the power of a devil, and B, he probably eventually just went too far with it, as everyone does. I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much for locking in with me. This has been a lot of freaking fun, dude. Well, that wraps up another chapter of One Piece 1148, another banger. And if you've made it this far into the video, make sure to drop a like for me, subscribe, and join the Discord down in the description below. Also, if you would like a uncut version of this live stream, it is all on my Patreon as of right now. And of course, if you would like to join the discussion, we have these live streams every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to go over the new episode and the new chapter of One Piece. I will see you guys in the next chapter review. Touch some grass, drink some water, tell the people you love them, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.